Hi, it's Dan from EUJUICERS.COM, and today I'm going to show you how to make fresh salsa using the Sano Biomega EUJ-707. Now, I grew up in California, the central coast of California, the Salinas, Monterey area, and in this area we have a lot of good Mexican restaurants. That's one nice thing I really liked about living in California. And when you first go into a Mexican restaurant, you'll always get a basket of chips and a bowl of salsa. And I would be able to tell immediately if I'm going to like this restaurant depending on the kind of salsa I would get. There's salsa fresca. Salsa is just Spanish for sauce. And then there's the processed salsa, the kind of thing you might buy in a store. And if I got that in a restaurant, I knew it probably wasn't going to be a very good meal. This is the kind of thing you buy in the store. And the advantage of making it yourself, there's a lot. The health benefits, this thing has been pasteurized. It's been heated, so you've lost a lot of the nutrition, and it's also, you're not sure what ingredients are in there. Are there some preservatives? And really, something like this is more of a stewed tomato sauce. You know, almost looks like just a spicy ketchup. Whereas fresh salsa, on the other hand, is completely different. You make it, it's fast and it's easy, and it really tastes different. Just like in any recipe, with salsa it holds true. The result you get is based on the quality of your ingredients. Now, last summer, like I said, I made a lot of salsa at home, and that's because my wife is a gardener, and she grows most of this stuff, and most of it's pretty easy to grow. And if you get it out of your garden, it's so good. You get it fresh off the plant, you throw it in your juicer, you're ready and with your salsa in 5 minutes. But you can also get good substitutes in the store. So let me show you what's going to go in the salsa. Talk about what I'd suggest for the ingredients. First of all, you'll have tomatoes. This is going to be the main ingredient. Probably 75% of what you have in your salsa is going to be tomatoes. And when you go in the shop, there's a few different kinds of tomatoes that you'll see. I usually look for the sweetest tomato, and I also prefer something that's a little bit firm. So what I've got here are some kind of medium-sized cherry tomatoes. They're really good, especially if you get the ones on the vine. They tend to be a little bit sweeter. You can also do plum tomatoes. You can do the stewing tomatoes, the Roma tomatoes. They're real firm, but the flavor's not quite so good. It's not so sweet, but it makes a decent salsa. And I'd stay away from the big beefsteak tomatoes. Those tend to be a little squishier. They might not make such a good consistency of salsa. I save those for burgers, sandwiches, things like that. Next ingredient we have here, this is the key really to salsa flavor, and this is cilantro, also called coriander in some countries. This is an herb. It's easy to grow in the garden. You want to use fresh cilantro, and I find it fresh in stores, either in a little vacuum-packed bag, just the leaves. Often I find the little plants too that they're growing in the greenhouse. Again, you can put this out in the garden in the summer. It'll grow fine. So you'll use some cilantro. Next ingredient are the onions. And again, you've got a lot of choices when you go in a shop looking at onions. Best one to use for salsa would be sweet onions, like a Vidalia sweet onion. That's what I have here. If you don't have access to those, you'll probably see red, yellow, white onions. I'd go in the order of white being the best out of those three. It's got a good kind of medium mild flavor, and it looks good in your salsa. Yellow's kind of an all-around generic okay onion. It'll do fine in there. Red, like the beefsteak tomatoes, I'd stay away from because that has a real distinctive flavor. Maybe again best for burgers, sandwiches, things like that. Next up are your peppers. I've seen recipes with anywhere from bell peppers to cayenne peppers, and peppers is more of a matter of taste. It depends what you prefer in terms of spiciness. You go in the store, you see that jarred stuff, you'll see mild, medium, hot. That's based on the peppers. Now what I have here are jalapenos, and those are a good medium pepper. In fact, the shop where I buy these, they rate these on a scale of 1 to 10, from least to most spicy, and these guys rate a 5. A bell pepper, a red bell pepper is a 1, and a cayenne is a 9 or a 10. So a jalapeno, a green jalapeno is a great choice for it. And finally, I got some lime and salsa. What I'm going to do with the lime, I'll use about half a lime depending on taste. Squeeze the juice in just by hand. I'm not going to put that in here. It's just a lot easier to cut it in half, squeeze it in, and then salt according to taste. You don't have to put too much salt in because if you're serving them with chips, the chips will already have salt on them. So it's just up to you. So those are the ingredients. Now I'm going to start chopping these things up and making our salsa. So let me show you how easy it is to make the salsa. First of all, I'm going to get some of these tomatoes here. I want to remove the tops. These guys are hanging on pretty well, so I can chop off the tops if they don't pop off. That's a good sign though. If the leaves are sticking on pretty hard, that's a sign of a fresh tomato. So that's actually a benefit. If you get the ones where the tops sort of fall off, you know you don't have the freshest tomato. And what I'll do, grab a couple more. I'm going to chop these just into a size to fit, which means I'll just halve these guys, cut them into halves. And that should fit into our feeding tube, no problem, with these smaller tomatoes. With a bigger one, I'd have to, of course, cut it into a few more slices. The cilantro, I really won't have to do anything with that. I'm going to do the same with the onion. Typically, if you're wondering the quantities, again, the nice thing about salsa and the nice thing about using this is you can add ingredients as you're making it. That's how I do it. I'll throw in a bunch of tomatoes, some other ingredients, stir it up, try it. It needs a little more pepper. Put some more pepper in. Or, oh, it's too spicy. I'll throw in a few more tomatoes. It needs more salt. Put in some more salt. So I'm going to cut this into 3 pieces. This should fit in there. And also an important thing, cutting it into pieces, I like to alternate. I don't put all my tomatoes in, then all my onions, because it just means less mixing. What comes out will already be sort of layered together. Now with the pepper, I've heard some people say take the seeds out. Other people say leave the seeds in. I kind of do depending on what my mood is. So I'm just cutting it in a couple of pieces here. Sometimes I'll peel out the string inside. It's really up to you. So I'm just cutting some of this inner part of the pepper out. But you can also throw the things in whole. I've seen people do that as well. And that's really all the prep. So I'm going to go ahead and start the juicer up. And these will practically self-feed. I'll push them through just a bit. And you'll see this great, perfect salsa consistency. You know, if you tried this in a blender, again, you'd have some puree, foamed up mess, basically. So I'm going to put in some of this cilantro. If you've never had cilantro before, you might want to go easy the first time. Cilantro has a distinctive flavor. Personally, I think it makes the salsa what it is. And look at those nice colors coming through there. If you're using a smaller bowl, make sure you have a small cup here, because you'll notice a little bit of juice from the tomatoes will come out the juicing hole there. So what I like to do when I'm making this at home, I'm usually kind of taste testing it as I make it, so I can see if I want to add more or less of something. You can also use garlic. Sometimes I'll put in half a clove of garlic, again, depending on taste. My wife isn't a big fan of onions, so I use a little less onion if I know she's going to be having some. But I'm going to leave it just like that. I've got a couple more tomatoes here if I need to add something to it. And the next thing I'm going to do is squeeze about half of a lime into it. Again, according to taste. But this is what I like, is about a half a lime. And then you'll also want to put in some salt. I've just got a little bit here. Maybe a teaspoon of salt. And I'll stir it all together. And it gives a great consistency. You can see all the colors, the red from the tomatoes, the green from the peppers and cilantro, bits of onion. Really good consistency there. Took about 2 minutes to make, and that's how fast and easy it is to make salsa. So now's the best part, my favorite part. This is where I actually get to try the salsa. I'm going to put some into a bowl here, and I want to show you the difference between this and the one you buy in the store. You can see that this one is just almost a ketchup color, and this has all sorts of things going on in there from our ingredients. And now I'm going to try it. It's really good. You can taste the peppers, the onions, and especially those tomatoes. They were surprisingly sweet. Just for comparison, I'm going to try this here. And I'm using tortilla chips. I've seen people use different things. You could dip vegetables into this. You can even make your own tortilla chips. You can get corn tortillas and just deep fry them or even bake them with some oil brushed on them. It's like dipping into ketchup, really. Slightly spicy ketchup. So there's a big difference. And like I said, the advantage of using a machine like the 707, it's fast, it's easy. You get a delicious, healthy result. That's it. Thanks for watching the video. If you want more information about the Sano-Biomega EUJ-707 or any of our juicers, come to our website. That's EUJUICERS.COM. Again, thanks for watching and enjoy your salsa.